The next question, the topic is multi-generational community. And the question is going to first go to Ray Van Cott. How important do you think it is for Ford's Colony to be a true multi-generational community?
We actually started talking about that when we talked about marketing. I mean, we're in the ending phase of the baby boomers coming down here. This place was marketed for retirement and was marketed for second homes for people out of the Washington D.C. area initially, and then it became a place for retirement. And why not? When you look at all the amenities that we have here. Now you're looking forward. You have to consider what's next, and what's next is to continue to enhance our multi-generational facilities. And I think the board considers that when it makes its year, when it looks at where it's going to spend the money financially, what are we going to spend it on, right? And this year, the board elected, in one of its options to a water slide, because frankly, kids like water slides. I myself perhaps didn't vote for that because of a whole bunch of other reasons, but the fact is we need to consider everyone who lives here, and that's all the demographics. And to be fair, we have to look at each of the demographics in an equal manner. We've got right now about what I forget the number, somewhere around 20% of people who are not yet retired, and a certain small percentage of that with children. We have to have as park system, and you've seen the boards address that with playgrounds and the like. I think we have had a very aggressive liaison with the school systems, and the school systems are very important to multi-generation families to move in. That has to continue and frankly and be enhanced, because school systems, when you look for a place when you look for a place with kids, you look at school systems first. And while ours is good, there's an argument made that our high school system that most of our children would go to is not great. So we have to continue to work with the school system to make that better. So it's something you always have to have in the back of your mind. We're a multi-generational community. We're committed to that, and we have to continue to do things that enhance that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Rick Beers?
There's also a question, or there's also a need as we expand as we expand the community's attraction to families with children, to remote workers. As we do that, we will also see the texture of the community change. People will be interested in different things. They'll want to communicate in different ways. And it feeds on itself, right? Once we start attracting those types of residents in a broader sense, they then come with needs that we have to meet. It's a virtuous cycle. And that's why it's so darn important to get started on it the way the board has over the last 2 years. Now the question is, how do we develop out the feel and the texture of the community? And a lot of that is going to be technology. A lot of that is going to be services. And one other thing, I think that's something we don't think about too often, is the ideal opportunity we have with respect to the country club. This place was constructed, designed, built during the time in which golf was the primary purpose for people looking for a place to move after they were done work. That's changed. Golf is still important, but golf is no longer the compelling need that many people have to move here. Certainly families with children, certainly remote workers, and the fact that we are not tied to the country club the way communities such as Two Rivers is something we need to promote more heavily. We have a great country club, and people have the option to join. And I think that's a terrific marketable capability for us to get at these younger generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Boccio?
I think we made a point about expanding and making it more comfortable for a working family to live here. We didn't say much about the attractions associated with basically the entire family, namely the children. an older community that we are, there's a couple examples that we've actually started to do something about that. First, I'd like to just highlight the fact that we've got a swimming program that attracts a lot of youth, and a couple pools, but you know, there's attractions, and on occasions you can see meets take place, etc. It's very popular for children, and frankly, it doesn't cost us that much. Recently, the tennis club has finally started to reach out to youth. They've got a pretty good activity going on for training people, you know, that are under, say, 13 years old. And if you're taking a look at some of the past talk of the colony, you can see that activity is pretty well populated. They've got some guys there that are pretty good at teaching and are pretty good at tennis. I think a lot of our clubs should start thinking a little bit about how they can enhance their attractiveness to the family, to the youth, and possibly both, the whole family environment. But I think the fact that we're starting to attract and deal with youth is a very excellent thing that's going to support us going forward for a multi-generational community.
Thank you. Daphne?
I think, again, some great points here. It seems to me that being multi-generational is critical. It does a couple of things. To be crass about it, it helps us sell houses. But even more importantly, I think it increases the quality of life for the rest of us. If we all just moved here and went out feet first in 30 years, this would get to be a pretty stale, boring kind of place. And so I think this refreshing and bringing in different kinds of people and different age groups is very healthy. And if we, as a first step, think about changing some of the things we do, like not have all our HOA meetings at 3 o'clock on a weekday afternoon, we can maybe encourage some of these people to join us and help us with these transitions. To help us figure out what makes sense, what would be worthwhile, and where we can start accommodating and helping people integrate. And I think that is going to be perhaps something that will help a great deal. Just the one step. Maybe we stop meeting at 3 o'clock on a weekday afternoon.
Thank you. Rory Matson?
First of all, AM to the 3 p.m. meetings. Okay, I can't figure out where that came from, but we'll leave that alone. I want to go back and just actually attack the premise of this question. Ford's Colony is already a multi-generational community. Okay, there are actually 3 set constituencies in here. Okay, there is a younger constituency, which is made up of those families with children, okay, and those people who work. That's about 1/3 of the people who live here. About 11 or 12% of the people who live here are people that already have families. There's a big component of active retirees, okay? Those are people who are somewhere between 60 and 75 years old. That's the largest component. And then there is another component of about 25% or thereabouts, which is our older retirees. What's important to think about is that being multi-generational means that we actually address the needs of all of the groups, not just the younger group, not just the older group. And by addressing the needs of the group, it's really important for us to be able to understand what the needs of each of those groups are, and then allocate those resources accordingly in accordance with what our priorities are. Okay, yes, indeed, a slide is a great idea in ways to increase activities for the younger folks is a good idea. You know, adding a kayak launching point may be a good idea for active retirees. Okay, having more bridge clubs, I'm sorry, okay, may be a good idea for older retirees, but we need to address all of the generations whenever we talk about being a multi-generational community. Thank you.